Ready? Shalom. We are here in Yerushalayim, and we have a lot of things going on that we have to discuss. And obviously, our Torah offers a wide variety of issues to talk about. And when we open the radio or any other device, we hear the news, and we are asking ourselves, Jews, how can we overcome the situation? So I was reading one of the things that Israel is the #1 in the world for vaccines among the population. In other words, Baruch Hashem, we can say that Hashem has a special surveillance on this land, it's a holy land. And just like there's a syndrome of Jerusalem that everybody who comes here gets excited, so much connected with Hashem, even if he's not Jewish, even if he's not a believer, but the intensity of the Wi-Fi, so to speak, that Hashem has upon this country, it's so visible, it's so tangible that they cannot ignore it. And they start preaching the verses of the prophets. Some of them even say, no, we have to bring the Mashiach. Some of them say, we have to make people repent, just like our prophets did when Hashem was angry against his people, and he did not want the world to suffer, just like Jonah was sent to Nineveh to save the city. So we have to examine each and every situation that we have in our life and try to find what's the source and what is our duty, how to save our neck from further suffering, from any comments that people make that we are correct, we are wrong. So obviously Jews are always blamed, as you know, in history for this situation that we are facing now. It's widespread in the internet that Jews are making money due to the pandemic, and we're selling our vaccine to the world, and we are profiting from thousands of people who are actually suffering. So it's not a new claim. So we have to look exactly in the Torah that it talks about the first event that, according to the Arizal, the reason for our long exile is due to the sale of Joseph. What the brothers did that they sold Joseph, they took his garment and they dip it inside the blood of an animal, and they show it to the father, claiming that Joseph was devoured. He was killed by a wild animal. So our commentators say that ever since the blood label emerged, accusing Jews of killing innocent Christians or whatever for the use of matzah, we are 5 days away from the day, the holy day of remembering our exodus from Egypt. And no less, this was for many, many generations, a terrible time for Jews. Many, many Jews were murdered, were interrogated, were blamed for, and this is exactly what our sages say, that because the brothers used the same method, the non-Jews did the same thing against Jews. Because if the brothers would not do it the method of dipping the blood of the garment of Yosef with blood, they wouldn't have the idea, the audacity to come forward and say so. So that's one thing. So when the anti-Semitic say that Jews are blamed for everything, they are 1,000,000% right. In the sense, in the spiritual sense, not in the physical sense. I'm not justifying that. I'm just trying to explain that when a Jew attacks another Jew, that Chilul Hashem, that tremendous impact, that Chas v'Shalom, the self-hatred that destroyed the second temple. So they get clever and says, if a Jew can hit another Jew, we can also hit the Jew. That's exactly the logic. But if we are respected among ourselves, we honor ourselves, nobody can do harm to us. So I think that's a message more or less that it's all about. We have to understand that it's very easy to say, oh, these bastards, these people, these criminals, these anti-Semitic. Well, look at yourself. Why is this happening to us? Ever since Hashem gave us the Torah, we know that Hashem also brought with the Torah this hatred to the Jews because they're envy, because we are the chosen people. And the Germans will say, no, we are the chosen people. And you are not the chosen people. And this has started from the moment that Yaakov Avinu was forced to cheat and appear as Esau. And Esau was angry. And he says, after the death of my father, Yitzchak, I will kill my brother, Jacob. So this is the order that he gave to Amalek. This is the order that he gave. And when they asked the Germans in the Nuremberg trials, why do you persecute the Jews? What did the Jews in Russia, so far away from you, did wrong to you? There's no common border between Germany and Russia. But still, they invaded, like Hitler says, we invaded Russia mainly to kill the Jews of Russia, because they are the ones who spread out the ideology of communism, which is against our ideology. And he also says, all the wars that exist in the world are meaningless. The main war exists between us and the Jews. The Jews have any army? The Jews are spread out, children, family, women. What he has is crazy. So that's exactly the answer. They say that the Jews took away the blessing, the special treatment that Hashem has to us, instead of the chosen people, which they believe they are. Because they also, like Esau, wanted to get those blessings that otherwise he wouldn't share with Yaakov. But Rebecca told Yaakov to do it, and he had to honor his mother. Otherwise, as v'shalom, we will be far beyond oppressed by Esau. So at least we can protect ourselves, we can defend ourselves with this blessing that Yitzchak gave to Yaakov. So this is another issue we can talk B'ezrat Hashem in another situation. Now, what I'm trying to get to the point is that this year we have a special situation that Shabbat is right before Pesach. So every year, it's obvious, we stop eating chametz at 10 a.m., most of the places in the world, and you can eat for lunch anything you want, but on Shabbat, first of all, you cannot burn the chametz on Shabbat. You have to burn it the day before. And also, you cannot have the 3 meals that you have to have on Shabbat. So a lot of people wake up in the morning, they pray nets, they pray at 5 a.m., they finish at 7, and they have a meal. So for many people, this solution is not feasible because they can just eat an egg. They can have something very light, like a breakfast, but they cannot have a full course meal of Shabbat. And obviously, the third meal, forget about it. They cannot even do it. So some rabbi says, you know what, you can take dates, because the Gemara says that dates have the quality of mezanzai, the Gemara says. It means that it satisfies the person. It's one of the 7 things that Eretz Israel was blessed. So if you take a few dates, you eat, and you satisfy, you fulfill the mitzvah of Shalosh Suda. Here comes Ovadiah Yosef, my Rabbi, and he says that the best solution for people who cannot really have a meal, full meal, on Shabbat is to wake up regular, not to wake up at 5 a.m. if they are not able to do it. And before Shabbat, they take the matzot and dip it in soap. That's called matzah mevushelet. It's called matzah, cooked matzah. So when it comes to the prohibition of taking matzah before, 30 days before the holiday, we don't touch the matzah. Why? Because we want to be surprised. We want to be excited about the mitzvah that comes from 1 year to the other. So if you're going to eat matzah all year round, then obviously there is no evidence that you're doing this for the mitzvah. So there's an issue of bal tosif, to not add. So some people even at the end of Pesach, they eat chametz right after in order to show that they are, what they did eat matzah, it was only because Hashem ordered. And the chametz that we eat is to show us that we're no longer obligated to eat matzah and we eat chametz. But this is another issue. But what the point is that the mitzvah of Oneg Shabbos, the mitzvah of honoring Shabbat, according to Rabbi Yosef, you have to take those matzot and you can eat regularly, and it's allowed to do it because the matzah mevushelet is not the same as regular matzah that you eat on Saturday night. Matzah, cook matzah, dip inside the soup before Friday, before Shabbat, and you put it on the side, and then on Shabbat midday, the regular time that you have lunch, 11 o'clock, 11:30, and then Sudash Lishit, you go pray Mincha, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then 1:30, you have the Sudash Lishit, again with cooked matzah. And a lot of poskim do not agree with that, but everybody has to ask his own rabbi and to follow the idea that best suits him and his family, especially with small children, that if you try to impose on them discipline, actually it comes as a total uncontrolled. So for them, for families with children, it's the best option. The other issue that I want to talk about is Shana Shvit, the 7th year. Now we are approximately 6 months ahead from the 7th year, which is mentioned in the Torah, that just like we have a Shabbat, 6 days you should work, the 7th day you should rest. So too, when it comes to the years, for 6 years, the land of Israel must work, and on the 7th, it must rest. So it says that 70 years of exile in Babylon was for the 70 Shmitot, the 70 times that the people of Israel did not observe. 480 years that they settled in Israel after the conquer of Yoshua, the student of Moshe Rabbeinu, and until Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed the first temple, it was almost 500 years. And within those 500 years, it was 70 Shmitot, 70 times Shmitah that they did not observe. So you see that it's very, very precise, every punishment that we get. And it's nothing for nothing. There's a reason for everything. So this is one of the Midrashim that talks about Mashiach coming. It says that you're going to see a lot of nations are struggling and are facing, and they are looking for war, and all kinds of provoking each other, such as North Korea, Russia, Japan, Turkey against Greece. What else? Everywhere you can look at the map, there's a conflict. And that's exactly our sages say. When you're going to see the Russian fleet crossing the Dardanelles, you have to wear Shabbat clothing, get ready for Mashiach. So, we have seen the Russian fleet all over ever since the creation of the state of Israel. But in a massive scale, that's exactly what we're going to see, that the Russians are already in the north. And one of the things that Mr. Putin says, that this is the largest concentration of Russians outside of Russia, it's Israel. So if Israel is attacked, I'm going to come to protect my people. So this is an excuse for him to invade Israel, but that's not the point. I'm just trying to accommodate our mind and just give you how our sages describe the situation that we are going to face. That for some reason, not so long ago, a year and a half ago, there was a big summit between Russia and America here in Israel. And Israel was like the Switzerland of the Middle East, that they were able to, because there's so many Russian-speaking people in this country. So the foreign minister goes to Russia and he speaks Russian with them. There is a delegation of Russian army coming to Israel. They speak Russian in the army base. So again, I'm not saying this as an evidence of anything. I'm just trying to explain to you that all this is happening because there is a program, there's a plan. And it says that after the 7th, in the evening, in the end of the Shemitah, which is next year, almost a year and something, Mashiach is going to come. That's a midrash. Now, I'm not saying that the Gemara states clearly. Hashem doesn't like those people who always think, when is Mashiach coming? And Chas Shalom, that's what happened with Chmielnicki. That people were thinking Mashiach is going to come with Shabbat Tzvi. And after Chmielnicki killed so many Jews, people were desperate. So, somebody's trying, he's going to take anything that, is floating, is trying to save his neck. Yes, what's your question?
So, Chabad Lubavitch's whole thing is they push hastening the redemption, but we've had conversations about this. It seems that it delays it by doing that.
Okay, so I grew up with Chabad in Argentina, and I would like to defend, and I would like to mention the fact that Chabad himself is split among in that issue of how those Mashiachistic groups, and it's counterproductive because they believe that Chabad, Avat Israel Baal Shem Tov logo, the flag and actually this is according to the Time magazine, is the largest organization to get donations and support from Jews all over in the world, and they're very successful thanks to the bracha of the Rabbi, which I knew personally, and I have a picture with him. And it was a big tzaddik. So I think after the Rebbe passed away, they, like all the Hasidut, it happens also, let's say, in Breslov, that for 250 years there is no rabbi, because nobody can step into the shoes of Nachman Breslov. But everybody claims to be the Breslov that are authentic, those who go to Uman, and those who stay here, and those who, dance in the street. So again, I'm not here to judge and to rate the quality and how far they are from Hashem. And I'm nobody to say that. I'm just trying to give you a clue that among Chabad himself, there was the Din Torah. There was court case in the Bedin, accusing those Meshichistics of defiling as Hashem name and defiling Chabad purposes, jeopardizing the mitzvah of getting Jews close, because everybody's laughing, saying these crazy people, leave them alone. They can no longer influence. So actually, Chabad is the only one that has a post, has a stand in the airport here in Israel. So one time that Chabad was involved in politics, they threatened to shut this. So they went to the Rabbi and says, they're right. We have to keep influence on the people to put feeling it's more important than to get involved in politics. So you see that the Rabbi had a very straightforward image. What is most important? And the other goals, which is also important, but they are not, the end does not justify the means. So our most important thing is to spread Torah and to have Jews make Shuvah and put the feeling and everything else. Now, those who believe that by dancing in the street with flag, saying Mashiach, they bring the Mashiach, there's no source. So according to Halacha, every time you sit and learn, every time you say Tehillim, every time you pray, you go to the Kotel, you go to the Hebron, to the Me'arat HaMachpelah, you go to the Kever Rachel, you go to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, those holy places. Of course, you bring the Mashiach closer. So it's above and beyond. It's not the scope of this class to rate and to what to do to bring the Mashiach. But it's not the only time in history that we have situations that people are, desperate and they were looking for Mashiach. So now, more than ever, everybody says that all the signs of Mashiach, like Gog and Magog, the First World War, the Second World War, all those wars, it's a chapter, 1, 2, 3, 5, who knows how long, but everybody agrees that the world is changing rapidly. So it says that before Mashiach comes, there will be a pandemic that will hit the entire world, and this is exactly what happened now. So nobody can deny the fact that Mashiach is very close. So the question is, how far is Mashiach from us, and how far we are from Mashiach? How far are we? The reason why Mashiach doesn't come is very simple, because there's a lot of people who have children who are far from the derech, and as opposed to you, that your parents didn't send you to yeshiva, and you came by yourself, your own food, with your own will, which is tremendous, which is an amazing act that you did. You left your world, your family, your friends, and you came to Hashem. So those Jews, those people have children who went to drugs, who went to alcohol, went to everything bad in the world, and they are very upset. So they pray, please Hashem, don't bring the Mashiach. Why? Because if Mashiach comes, their children will be lost. So that's exactly the philosophy that I heard from one rabbi. Why Mashiach is delayed? Yes.
What does that mean? Because I've heard that before. That when the Mashiach comes, that everything is set. There is no more tshuva after that. Like, why is that?
That's exactly. No conference. Nothing can be changed. So Mashiach, once he comes, that's over. So Hashem is like a father wants his children to be saved. So he's warning the child, I'm coming. But this is his child. I mean, just like Yitzchak wanted Esau to be alive, he wanted to bless him. Just imagine a father who has a son in jail. So it says that Rebecca loved Yaakov and Yitzchak loved Esau. Why love the Rasha? Because it's a son. It's common sense. I was once in a wedding, and my friend is making the wedding. He's a big rabbi, and his son came without the kippah to the wedding, showing, I don't care about my father. I give whatever. I do what you want. So can you imagine what affliction this father has when he sees that his son comes to his own wedding without the kippah and with like a punk, like a Nazi, neo-Nazi? Just think about it. So that's exactly, it's very hard for a father to give up his son. That's exactly what I'm trying to. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is the evil eye. It says that when our mother, Sarah Imenu, the wife of Abraham, was barren. She didn't have any. And she told Abraham, I want to break this heavenly accusation that there is no children for us. They're not going to have any continuity. So the way to do it, because Chava, who fed from the tree of knowledge to Adam, she did it in order to prevent Adam marrying another wife. So this is the punishment that a man can marry more than one wife, but a woman cannot. And a lot of feminists will attack me and say, how can you say such a thing based on the Torah? But this is exactly what the person said, that Rachel married Yaakov Avinu. Here comes Lavan and swap Rachel and put Leah. Leah was supposed to be married to Esau. Because she cried to Hashem, Hashem says, okay, you're going to marry Yaakov. So who did it? Lavan. What was the intention of Lavan, the father? says to jeopardize the existence of Am Yisrael. Lavan bikesh la'akor et hakol. Read this in the Agada. Was this successful? Yes, because without him swapping and putting Leah instead of Rachel, the brothers would not sell Yosef, because all the 12 tribes were supposed to come from Rachel alone. But now that Yaakov saw that this is Leah, so he says, no, I want Rachel. Another 7 years your work. And then he got the 2 slaves, the 2 maids, and he has Leah 6 children, Rachel 2, and the others from the 2 maids. So we see again and again that this is exactly because of the sin of Chava, that Chava was jealous that if she ate from the tree, she will die. She says, I have to feed my husband, Adam Arishon, in order for him to die. And Hashem says, no way. That's what the Torah says, that 7 times more than the man, the woman has affliction. It says, you should bring children with great pain. Now, today, as you know, women try to be like men. In the army, everywhere they go, in the job, careers, job, everything. They want to get the same salaries, but actually, Hashem punished man that he should eat with the sweat of his brow, and he punished women that should bear children with tzar. Now, today, women have 2 curses, and men only has 1. So, what's the wonder that so many divorces? Because women cannot resist and have at the same time 2 punishments. So that's exactly, there's no way for a woman to get rid of her, because those women who go to work and they don't have children, they suffer no less when they see other women who don't work, but they have 10 children. So it's not about, I'm not here Chas v'Shalom to afflict any woman. I'm just trying to say that the Torah is the exact way how to become happy. The road to happiness is to follow exactly what the Torah says. Woman must be home and must then have children and raise them. Now, if she can do something that she can work and make money, which a lot of men, a lot of women work from home due to Corona, whatever reason. So it's fine. But woman is not supposed to go out and have a $5,000 a week, show everybody with the perfume and, with all this mink coat and all this model show that they have in the streets. So it's against Torah. It's against Judaism. So I'm not saying that women should not work. I'm saying that a lot of women misinterpreted their role in Judaism. And even non-Jewish women, they know that the role of a woman, the only way for a woman to become happy, to become a woman, to self-realization, is to become a mother, have as many children as she can have. So sometimes a woman wakes up, she was 35, she's 40, too late, honey, then she cannot have more than 1 or 2. But the younger the woman gets married, the Gemara says, the more children she has a chance to have. So one of the things I want to mention about Sarah Amen, that when Sarah says to Abraham, get Hagar and marry her, and Ishmael was born. Now, it says that and Sarah was so envied that she put her evil eye, because obviously it's like Hashem is saying, I love Hagar more than you. So she was upset. So she aborted because of the evil eye of Sarah. What she says. So what I'm trying to get is that people don't understand, or they don't really have a chance. They never thought about. Nobody taught them that. I would say, do not, do not diminish the risk of showing off. It means that according to Torah law, you can wear as many garments as you want, fine garments, jewelry. You can have the finest car, you can have the nicest home. But then, as v'shalom, if something happens, it's the only one to blame is the person himself, because you show off too much. It's like the police warning us: do not show off your money, do not count money in the street, do not have gold jewelry exposed, and so forth. I mean, I know that a lot of people have fancy cars, and right after they bought a car, they have a car accident, and they end up in the hospital. And also, for example, we should understand that this is a halacha lemaise. Halacha means that the law is that if somebody comes to shul with his son, and they have a wedding, they have a bar mitzvah, we call the father for the aliyah for the Sefer Torah. But in order to call the son, we have to make calls. We have to call somebody else in between, and then just call. So why? Because evil eye. Because they say, here's the father coming to the eye, celebrating. So it's evil eye from the people who came to pray? Yes. So again, there's a lot of halachot that we change because of the evil eye. We suspect that it's going to take effect. And also they said that chazanim, people who have nice voice and they hire for money to sing panthers. So they need special protection. Just like if you go to the dentist and they want to take an x-ray, they put a special protection in your neck because otherwise the x-ray can do harm. But it's necessary. It's an evil, necessary evil to take this, x-ray in order to know which tooth is damaged. But the same thing, we have to know that the Torah gave us methods of protecting us. So first of all, go to the mikveh every day. Second thing is do not show off. Never answer how much money you make. Never answer how much money you spend. So the other thing that the Gemara is talking about is about the three prophets, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and Daniel. Daniel was the prophet that Nebuchadnezzar, the king, put in the oven, and he came out alive. He was in the lion's den, and also he was thrown to the to the big oven that everybody who stand very, very far from it, he would get burned. It was such a big fire. So it says that he came out alive. So it says that Daniel was able to overcome Nebuchadnezzar's evil. But the Gemara says, what was the reason? What happened to Daniel that he died? The Gemara says that Daniel died because of evil eye, because everybody was saying, did you survive this burn? Did you survive this fire? Did you survive the lion's den? From that alone, this is what it caused. Can you imagine somebody, goes to Harlem, to the worst places in America, or a crime, in India, in who knows where, in Chinatown, whatever, and he survived. Nothing happened, shooting, and then he got killed by a small child who just threw something on his head. That's exactly so you see that the evil eye has a tremendous power. And again, it says that even a father can do evil eye to his son. So it's not about if you love him, if you have intentions to do that. It's about exposing. Do not expose yourself. Do not tell people about yourself, how successful you are, because this obviously creates reaction. And this reaction, actually, they say, is he actually eligible to get this prize, to be treated in a different way? I remember I had one of my cousins who was driving recklessly, and he had a lot of tickets. So I was driving with him, and he says, "Oh, okay." And I'm not speeding. He says, "Why don't you speed?" He says, "Excuse me, how many tickets do you have?" And he says, "Why don't I get tickets? I can also drive and get home safely." And then right after, a week later, I get a ticket. Why? Because I open my mouth and I say, "Why don't I get a ticket?" So actually, in the sky, the heavenly accusation was saying, "Yeah, you're right. Why don't you get a ticket?" So that's an example of how a person punishes himself. Yes, please.
So I have a question about the Ayin Hara. If there are ways to prevent it, what are some measures we can take to prevent it from affecting us?
Okay, so I say there's a lot of things. There's a whole book written about it, but the Gemara says, it said the pasuk, "Anam izara de Yosef." I belong to the seed of Yosef. That the Ayin Hara does not hold it in. But I know a lot of people use that pasuk. It doesn't work. So again, the best thing is the prevention is better than the cure. So don't take the medicine. Don't contaminate yourself with corona. Don't sit next to corona people and then you say, "Oh, I take this." No, the vaccine is not going to work. You have to take the vaccine beforehand. So the same thing. So again, go to the mikveh every day. Don't wear expensive clothing. Do a lot of chesed. If you do a lot of chesed, a lot of favors to others, obviously it takes away the evil eye. Yes.
What do you mean, like? By definition, what you would have on would be in America would be considered expensive clothing. Like what I got on, I'm dressed down pretty much right now. So, like,
okay, I mean, let's put it this way: a rabbi who talks and he doesn't wear a tie is nothing. But if I respect myself, I will respect me. So I don't think that tie costs more than $2, $3. I don't think it's about money. I mean, nobody's envy about my tie or my clothes, my suits. I mean, there's no fancy. I mean, it's nothing above and beyond for a rabbi. And I know some people, or not rabbis, some people have very expensive clothing, or very expensive, the way they, in theater. I'm not going to talk about specific. I mean, I know that a lot of people who are very successful, their life inside is ruined. Total. They get divorced. Why? Because so much evil. So that's why a chazan, try to avoid to be a chazan. Don't be a chazan. Why? Because everybody, the more beautiful voice you have, people will be more envious against you and will praise you and put evil eye on you. You understand? Yes.
Thank you, Rabbi. I also had a question about amulets. My understanding is that the Baal Shem Tov, among many other people, but the Baal Shem Tov was famous for this, he would sell amulets in order to protect people from evil spirits, including the Ain Hara.
Okay. This was 300 years ago.
Yes.
Or more.
Do things like this
So the
work
Arizal
today?
said that today nobody knows how to write amulets. And I wrote this in my book, Questions and Answers, and also the Arizal writing. No, I'm not saying that there are no experts somewhere, but it's very hard to get a good one. So, like I say, we have to go back to our source. The source is Avraham Avinu taught us to do chesed with our fellow Jew and fellow non-Jew as well. The other day I had chametz that somebody gave me, and I went to our workers and I gave them. He says, "You know something?" And I want to repeat this up front in the camera. When Jews were expelled from Spain, who gave food to the Jews? The Arabs, the Muslims. So we have to thank the Muslims.
Yeah.
And that's historically true. Now, that wasn't a single event. All throughout history, we suffer 1,000,000% more from Christians or from the white race, so to speak, Esau, than the Ishmael. And they also now, for example, they did this treaty with the Emirates. And they said, this is our cousins, the Jews. And they said to the Palestinians, you're not cousins of the Jews, we are. That's the pact of Abraham. That's what they call it. I mean, that's a family. It's something, let's go back to roots. That's the way they feel. So is that true? Is that really something that we can rely on? I don't suggest anybody to rely on anybody. But if it happens, we say, okay, well, we treat them nice. And we have to treat nicely the non-Jews. Now, especially, and I think you spoke about it the other day, that as opposed to the Christians who worship the Trinity, which is against our principles, that there's no image of Basar Badam, of flesh and blood. And Muslims don't have any Trinity. They don't have any false belief of idolatry. So you're allowed to pray, you're allowed to go to hide in a Muslim church, but you're not allowed to hide or visit a Christian church because it's idolatry. Because of, especially with the images of Maria and all this, I'm not talking about the Protestants who don't have it, or evangelicals that they believe that we have to bring the Mashiach and the part of the process that we have to conquer the land of Israel. And forget about this issue. It's not what I'm talking today. I'm trying to explain that the Rambam, according to Rambam, before Mashiach comes, they will have two monotheistic religions that will push away the idolatry, the ideology of idolatry, and we still have idolatry in China. 90% of Chinese people don't believe in God. At least they believe in Buddha or whatever, or in Japan, 99%. And in India, for example, they bow down to the cow. The cow is, so again, do they believe in what they say? I don't think so, but this is the way they were raised. So you can't just change their mind overnight. So Hashem gave the power to Christianity and Islam to override those beliefs because they are not ready to get the plain truth that the Judaism is going to bring when Mashiach comes. This is according to Rambam philosophy. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can talk about evil eye, how to remove it, how to protect yourself. And obviously the best thing is to not to talk too much, not to raise the attention, not to call it, always shut your mouth, try to be superfluous. As much as you camouflage, humble, that's it. If you have a fight with somebody, just give up. Don't fight with him. If you have a claim, the other day, somebody came to my home. He was supposed to paint the floor, the wall and the roof. And he promised to charge us whatever amount. And then he says, I'm only doing the roof. I'm not doing this at the same price. If you want me to do this, also the walls, give me another 1,000. So says, no way. So I says, okay, here's your money. Shalom. I don't want to argue with you. I told him, Hashem has ways and means how to charge you for what you did to me. You cheat me. So are you allowed to say that? Yes, you warn him. Why? Because you say, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to pay you. But you should know that according to what we agree, this is not exactly what we agree. And I'm upset. And I believe that Hashem will take measures and will do justice. Okay, so the other issue I want to talk is about those who have a lot of problems with Shalom Bayit, who have problems. You guys are not married, but there's a lot of people who 50%.
Not.
So no, not. So I always tell the youngsters who want to become married, it's better that you cry now than cry later. In other words, you'll be ready because marriage is not what you think. In other words, Baruch Hashem, I'm married for a few years, and I know some rabbis who are divorced. They come talk about Shalom Bayit. So I was once abroad and talking about Shalom Bayit. When I came back, so my wife asked me, "What did you talk about in the speech?" It says Shalom Bayit. It says, "You Shalom Bayit? You?" I mean, obviously, because a woman doesn't see the husband. Who is he to talk to others about Shalom Bayit when he is a failure? But it doesn't. A woman is never happy. I can tell you right from. That's exactly what I'm saying. Now, there are some women here and there are happy, but this is the way Hashem created men and women, that they are different. So a woman has a lot of expectations, and man also has a lot of expectations. So you have to understand that being married is best of the evil of the, being alone is the worst. So sometimes they say bad company is worse, is better than, better to be alone than bad company. So I'm not talking about those women. I'm not talking about those friends. I'm talking about the situation that the person has come to some time of some kind of status quo, some kind of coexistence. Because nobody gets married with somebody who doesn't have any conversation with. Nobody has anything in common. So then you have to understand that things change. Just like I have a friend whose wife had a postpartum depression, and she couldn't take care of the children. She couldn't feed the children. So they got divorced because he cannot stand like this, that the social worker says she can do harm to the children. So poor guy. That's exactly what we say before, that Hashem cursed woman that she should raise children with sorrow. So she has nothing to do with it. It's about 17% of women who deliver, they have this problem. So I'm just giving you an example that not all marriages have a happy end, because there are areas in life that you have no control. So you have to be ready for everything. That's exactly the same thing. You take it down. One rabbi said, if somebody owes you $1 million and you hear that he had a car accident and you go to the hospital and the time passed due, he owes you $1 million. Would you go to the hospital and yell at him and says, "Give me back my money"? No, you wouldn't do it. The same thing he says. Your wife, every month she has a surgery. Period. Even if she's getting crazy, you're not going to yell at her because she's in the bed. She's disabled. That's the way. If you have the ability to do that as a man, then you will have Shalom Bayit. So again, what I'm saying is that sometimes the woman is the strongest figure in the house. Sometimes the husband is the strong figure. Now, I'm not talking about religious. I'm talking about the whole leading of the house. Who gives the tune? Who decides what? Because this is exactly the problem, that before you get married, you have to agree where you're going to send your children, which school. You want to be modern Orthodox? You want to go to the army? You want to go from Black Hat, Lubavitch, Satmar, Sephardi? Everything has to be clarified. Everything has to be discussed. So the main thing, what I want to talk about, that this is one of the biggest issues today, Shalom Bayit, that a lot of couples are getting divorced for no reason. And if they would have somebody with good advice, how to glue them back, how to believe in that they are lucky to be married and they are not going to find any better. If they think they're going to find something better, so then, so the other day, somebody called me. I just want to share with you an example. He says that his wife is pregnant and she's very delicate. Anytime they will have intimate relations, she would abort. So I told him it's a question of grama veraticha. It means that if Chas v'Shalom, a person gives, a fist to his friend and he dies, you cannot do it. It's so sensitive, it's so delicate. So in this case, that it happened already, that she aborted because they were intimate relations, so he cannot touch her. He says, but we love each other. And she gave him permission, he says, that I should marry another woman because he's 35 and he cannot resist Yetzirah without a woman for 10 months, for 11 months. Because after delivery, it's also a month or two, depends if it's a girl, the woman needs to purify herself. The woman changes all her body, all metabolism. It's not so easy. So I told him like this. There's a halacha. First of all, it says you're not going to find a woman that will, even if your wife gave you the permission, it's one out of a million, or even more than a million, that will agree to marry a married man. So what you should do is, because the halacha is that any woman, besides your mother, your sister, or your daughter, you're not allowed to be secluded in the same house. You have to sleep somewhere else. You cannot be in the same house if you cannot touch her. And also, if you want, you can just go to this rabbi, this dayan, tell him the situation, tell him, I'm willing to give a get, deposit a get in your heart, in your hands. This way, when I give a get, when I divorce her officially, so to speak, I will be able to find another woman. But he says, you know what, Rabbi? I cannot resist my temptation. And I went to Chaz v'Shalom to harlots. So he says, that's exactly what I told you. You are not an angel. So what's the situation? How can you, as a rabbi, give a verdict to separate, to split a couple? A couple? I'm telling you, it's not easy to get married because of the curse of Adam Arishon, of the sin of Etzadat, of the tree of knowledge, good and bad and good, that caused the woman to be 7 times more cursed than the man. And that is the situation that she aborts when she's with the husband, that she gets postpartum depression. I'm talking about normal things. I'm not talking about bad women. There are bad women, but I'm talking about good women who encounter themselves in a situation that they have no control. The husband doesn't have control. She doesn't have control. So what can they do? So again, if the husband could go away for a year to Australia and come back, okay, fine. It's like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that was in the cave for 13 years. So if he can study and there he's not going to sin, I don't believe it's such a thing today. But assuming that there is such a thing, fine. But if not, you have to marry another woman. You cannot resist. You cannot stay with this woman together. So how cruel is that? How can you say that he has to divorce his loving wife? And you tell me what's the halacha? That's exactly the Torah. The Torah is to teach us how to overcome the situation that due to the Adam sin that he brought death to the world, pain to the world, we are in the middle of this terrible situation. Yes.
With regards to Gittin, with regards to the get, when Ethiopian Jews first started arriving in Israel, there was a machloket over whether or not they could marry other Jews because they had a different religious tradition without Gittin. And my understanding is that Rabbi Ovadiah said that we can marry, that non-Ethiopian Jews can marry Ethiopian Jews and that there's no problem.
Okay, because he based himself on the Rabaz. The Rabaz says that those are the children that I mentioned before, that Yaakov Avinu had 4 wives. One of them was the maid that was black, was like African. And that's why those children were African looking. The sons of Dan was black looking, because this is from Bilhah and Zilpah. They were maids of Rachel and Leah. Now, somebody says that Laban looked like, because it says, Em belavan el hashmo. The only thing white about Laban is his name. Everything else was black. It means, physically speaking, it looks like Assad, which is like the Turkish, like the Alawite, like those in the north. So not all Arabs are the same. So, I know I've been to Russia, so I know that there is a lot of Muslims there who really look like us here. But there's a lot of Muslims who are like white. The Ottoman Empire conquer Romania, conquer Yugoslavia, they conquer a lot of parts of Europe, and they kill the parents, and they kidnap the children and send them to madrasa, and they make them Muslims. So the Albania is full of, 99% of Albanians were Muslims. And it was ruled by the Ottoman Empire, and it's a European country. So you see, blonde with blue eyes, Muslims. Anyway, so it's not about the color. So one of the rabbis, Rabbi Zeus, says that Ashkenazim come from Rachel. So that's why it says that Rachel was beautiful. So that's why Ashkenazim have better looking than Sfaradim. Because Leah, it says, the eyes of Leah were, she was crying all the time. She didn't want to fall in the hands of Esau. So that's why Sfaradim don't look so nice as Ashkenazim. That's one of the theories that, so again, according to the Radbaz, the children of Dan are black, and those are the Ethiopians. Now, we have to see the Gemara in Masechet Kiddushin that when Ezra went to Babel, a lot of Jews, including Kohanim, marry non-Jews, and he forced them to divorce, something we don't do today, that if a Jew, Baal Tshuva, comes with his shikse, with his goya, we tell them to convert the wife. Now, Ezra, 2,000 years ago, says, no way, you have to divorce. Now, the difference, the poskim disagree. Why is the reason that we don't use the same method today? That if somebody comes already with a goya, he said to get divorced. No, because he's not going to separate him. So if he's not going to separate, he's not going to do any good. So how can you destroy a family? So we say, okay, let's put you in the mikveh. Women are not so active as men. So she can sit the whole day long on Shabbat, keep Shabbat. And the man is the one to go to work. The man has more challenges to overcome. The man has to cut his flesh. He has to do Brit Milah. The woman doesn't. So for 10 women converts, is 1 man convert. I can tell you the statistic. Now, I'm facing this issue of converts all the time. Yes, what's the question?
But the halacha is that it should be more difficult for a woman to convert than a man. But today we see like the opposite. It's so much more easier for a woman to convert.
Are closer to God than men. That's, I mean, like any non-Jewish woman, talk to her. She has more feelings, she's more attached to, I mean, because she's suffering so much. Men are more, I would say, arrogant. They don't accept who is God, like Pharaoh. You know what I mean? Women are more humble. So it's easy for women to attach to a stronger force, which is Hashem.
But how can you say this? Because if you look at the United States today, all these liberal protests and stuff is these wacky women, ages like 18 to 30, that are like lesbians and got their head shaved. And
there are all types of women. I'm not saying all women are close to Hashem, but in general, 10 women convert versus 1 man convert. That's the numbers. That's the figures. You can argue about it. Why? And I know a lot of women looking for shidduch. There's more women looking to get married than men. Now, you can say why? This because it's not so many good men, it's many good women. Here in Israel, we have 10 jails for men for violent crimes, and only 1 jail for women. So it's also in America. You have in America almost 3 million inmates, and is more men in jails than women. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so why is this happening? But this is the nature. I mean, the Samach Hasidim writes that we pay the salary for the teacher to watch children because the children are wild. But when it comes to girls are not wild. There's no reason to pay the teacher. That's the Samach Hasidim, because girls don't need it to be disciplined, to be behaved. That's the statement. So women are more into discipline. They like order, like clean. Men are wild cats. I mean, I know in the yeshiva, people come, eat, and they live there. I mean, women always clean, always work. I mean, women are more disciplined in every aspect of life. I mean, women have other problems, but as far as, man to man and woman to woman, women are more socialized, are more connected to each other. It's a whole different ballgame. Okay, so I'm not here to explain psychology, all these phenomena. I'm just trying to say that we're going back to the subject that we talk about Shalom Bayit, we talk about the issue of conversion, that the famous story with the Ramban, that Rambam was 900 years in Spain, and he had an argument, and he was saying that there's no such thing as Jew converting to Christianity, unless he has in his blood, he has non-Jewish blood. So one day came that the son of the Rambam became Christian. So he didn't know what to answer in the arguments, in the debates, to the king, to all the ministers. So he closed himself in the room for 7 days, fasting, praying to Hashem. And then his wife knocks on the door every day. Here's food for you. No, I'm not eating. What's going on? So he told her what's the situation he's facing. So he says, don't worry. Let's go to the king. I'll give you a reasonable explanation. What happened? He says, when I went to the mikveh before I became pregnant, to this boy, he was a minister, raped me. And that boy became Christian because he has non-Jewish blood. So there's no such thing. You are here. You converted because you have Jewish blood, because somebody planted. It's your father, your grandfather. Somebody long time ago planted that seed that grows up now. And I have the privilege to feed you and to teach you. Why? Because also my father, my grandfather, Aaron Cohen. That's the job of the Kohen, to spread Torah. So before Mashiach comes, all these. So last week, Rabbi Busu gave me a letter stating like this. There's a prophecy in the book of Malachi. It says that there will be so many converts that they will outnumber the number of Jews, native-born Jews, before Mashiach comes. So it means that we are in the middle, or in the beginning, very beginning of the process, because you see a lot of Jews who are not Shomer Shabbat in Israel or abroad, and they don't want to be Jews. At the same time, you see a lot of non-Jews who want to be Jews. So people ask me, Rabbi, why are you so easy with converts? Because they already get so much denial from everybody that I have no room for me. There's no room for me to deny them, because somebody else already did that now. I can only, okay, of course, it's not an easy job. Like any other job, dealing with people is not easy. They have to be patient. But Baruch Hashem, I cannot say that I regret the fact that I choose this career. I'm 58 today. I wrote 12, 13 books, Baruch Hashem. And I want Be'ezat Hashem to write more books. I want to open a new yeshiva, to have hundreds of boys and girls in my yeshiva, and they all get married, and everybody would come. Is that tangible? Is that achievable? Yes. But we have to work on it. This is our job, and that's why Mashiach doesn't come. So I want to say to everybody listening to this shiur that Be'ezat Hashem will continue, and we will listen to your comments, your questions. There's a lot to talk about. We have the book Questions and Answers that answers a lot of the questions that people, newcomers and FFP from birth have, but people don't find answers. People are confused and think maybe I'm wrong. No, you're not wrong. You're doing the right thing. You should persist. You should continue. Be'ezat Hashem, I bless as a Cohen everybody who listens to that shiur to find his destiny and to come back to Yerushalayim to learn Torah.
תודה רבה.
חג שמח.